Understanding how color is formed can help you to use color more effectively in your designs. And more importantly, the relationships between different colors can help you choose something that is very specific for your design. We have two primary color systems, additive, which basically is when anything that emits light uses additive color, such as the sun, a screen, a projector, a TV. That's all additive. Everything else, or things that reflect light, use what's called subtractive color. So when you see things on paper, that is your subtractive color. So color is important because not only do we need to have a basic understanding of how it works, but how they work together. So we can use color to highlight important copy or important text. If you were creating some sort of a magazine article and you put all of your headings in red, that's a primary color and that's going to grab the attention. Maybe you put all your subheadings in purple, which is a secondary color. Both of these headings will stand out better in your print. You can also use color to set apart different areas on a chart or a graph, making it easier for people to read and understand. You can use color to attract the eye of the reader. So in this instance, you see a red oval around the word attract. And that obviously brings your eye to that first. It tells the reader what you want them to see first, and then they can go on to read the rest. You can make elements appear to vibrate, which creates a feeling of excitement, by choosing complementary colors. Complementary colors are the ones that are on opposite sides of the color wheel. So here we have purple and green, and we have blue and orange, and those are some complementary colors. That's why a lot of times you see sports teams with colors that are complementary, such as the Denver Broncos with the purple and orange. Okay. So here's an example of the color wheel, and this was developed actually in the 1800s to help people make choices about color, how they develop color. So we have this basic color wheel. Now obviously we have more than just these few colors, but these show us the basics. You can use color to tie a layout together. Maybe you want to repeat a color from a photograph or an illustration and use it as the background color or for some colored type. So if I look here and I choose a blue background out of this photo, you can see now how the photos are tied together with the text. It makes it more soothing and easier to read. You can create certain moods with your colors as well. Bright colors, such as the one on the right, conveys excitement, while pastel colors soothe. Okay, so this pastel color is soft and calm. It's usually used in things like advertisements for massages, beaches, bathroom ads, stuff like that. The ones where you want to use more excitement are used when you want to shout out something or want instant attraction. A lot of companies and brands have a specific color that they work with, and that is so that they can identify themselves with those colors. So color does many things in our lives. It helps us identify objects. We know that apples are red, bananas are yellow. It also helps us understand things. If you come to a stoplight, you know that green means go, yellow means slow down, and red means stop. It also helps us communicate feelings and moods. For example, we feel blue when we're sad. In our layouts, color will convey these same moods. They'll identify objects and they'll relay messages. For example, using soft pastels in an advertisement can suggest a quiet or romantic mood. Putting a colored box behind a group of photos says that they all belong together. An important warning might show up in a bright red box. Now, when you select colors, you need to keep a lot of things in mind. Remember that color adds a lot to your layout. It can make or break your design. But when selecting colors, think carefully about what you want the color to do. What color is most appropriate? Will green or gold better suggest wealth if you're making an advertisement for a bank? So here are our primary colors on the color wheel. We have yellow, we have red, and we have blue. These are called primary colors because these three colors can produce every other color in the spectrum if they're combined together in certain amounts. However, you cannot create these three colors by combining any other colors. Hence, they are primary. You have secondary colors as well, and these are orange, green, and purple. Secondary colors are produced by mixing the two primary colors. So we know that purple is created by mixing red and blue, equal amounts of red and blue. Orange is created by mixing equal amounts of red and yellow. And then green is made by mixing equal amounts of yellow and blue. Hence, they are secondary colors. Now, after secondary, we have what are called intermediate colors or tertiary colors. This is like your third level, okay? So intermediate colors are such as yellow-green, blue-green, purple-blue, red-purple, red-orange, orange-yellow, okay? Now, when we talk about creating color schemes, we have to think about, obviously, what we want our colors to say. What is it for that we're creating this? So one way that we might be able to choose good colors would be to choose complementary colors. And again, these are the colors that are opposite each other on a color wheel. So if you look at purple and yellow, we automatically know that purple and yellow are famous sports teams. LSU, the Lakers. Okay, and I mentioned earlier orange and blue for Denver. Remember that these colors, because they are opposite each other, they make it seem like they really vibrate and come to life in however you put it in your design. Now, we have what are called properties of color. Your properties are hue, value, and saturation. So hue is simply another name for a color. So the hue of this arrow or this over here is called green. Okay? Now, the value is referring to the lightness or darkness. So when we talk about tinting something, we're talking about mixing white with a color, and it makes it lighter than the original. If we're talking about a shade, we're talking about mixing black with the color, making it darker than the original. And then, of course, the saturation is the purity of the color. So I open Photoshop, and I'm going to open a color picker just so I can explain how this works. So here we have our spectrum of colors over here on the right, okay? And we know that when we choose a color, we also have to adjust it in here, okay? So if I have my color right here in the middle, I want you guys to see over here on the left. Notice that up at the top left is white, at the bottom left is black. So if I move my color this way, it's becoming a tint because I am adding white to it. If I move my color down, it is adding black to it. So it is becoming a shade. Now, you also might notice that up at the very top right, it's a really bright, vibrant blue. That's because this is fully saturated. It has added the purest blue possible to this color. Whereas if we go down here, it is taking away blue and it's actually becoming more of a gray to black. Okay? So here to here, lightness, okay, adding white, that's your tint, your shade, your saturation, your desaturation. So here's an example. If I pick blue as my color or my hue, I could add white to it, and here's the tint, and then I could add black to it, and it becomes darker, a shade. And I just showed you the color picker in Photoshop. Now, we also have different color schemes that are based on where they fall on the color wheel. So you'll see that all of these are next to each other, and this is what we call warm colors. They are associated with warmth, with fire, with the fall, with being outdoors. Whereas cool colors are associated with water, with being cold, with the winter, okay, with ice. Those two could be color schemes on their own. Now, when we talk about color schemes, it's important to use or to choose the colors that you put in your design. You don't want them to just randomly appear. Remember that your color schemes are used to create style and appeal for your project, your artwork, your brand, your company, your logo, whatever it is you're creating. Frequently when we talk about color schemes, we actually choose one specific color that we want to be the main color, and then we develop the rest of the colors around that one. So here we have another type of color scheme, and this is a monochromatic color scheme, and that's when they all fall in the same hue or same color range. We also have analogous, and this is when they are right next to each other on the color wheel. So if you look back at the color wheel, you'll see that yellow orange, yellow green are all next to each other. That would be analogous. Here we have a triad, okay? And basically if you put a triangle in the middle, wherever the 3 points are, that creates a triad color scheme. So obviously you could rotate it one and create different ones, but in this one we have yellow green, purple blue, and red orange. A split complement, okay, so if you think about the complementary, we know that directly across is complementary. So if you split one side of it, you get kind of a Y shape in the middle. So we have red, purple, yellow, green. And that gives you 3 colors. We have neutral colors, which are black, white, and gray. And we also have a couple of things that will help us immensely with creating color schemes. I want you to make sure that you open your Digo and bookmark these using your Digolet. If you have not yet created a Digo account, you should right now. Press pause, use your SBISD username, password, and email address, okay? And then you'll see where you can add your Digolet to your browser right up here. Whoops, that one right there. And then we're also going to go here to color.adobe.com. Again, if you have not created an account, and if you weren't here that first week, you maybe haven't. For Adobe, you need to make your password capital S, lowercase b, then follow with your regular password for that. Okay?